Good evening, everyone. I would like to call this council meeting of May 26, 2025 to order. And I will ask if you're able to stand for the national anthem. Thank you.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command.
Car ton bras s'est porté l'épée, il s'est porté la croix. Ton histoire est une épopée des plus brillants exploits.
God keep our land glorious and free. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Thank you very much. Please be seated. I suppose, I know it's appropriate for us to welcome King Charles III and Queen Camilla to Canada, and on behalf of Lincoln, we're very pleased that they're here. They have a very important duty to perform as the King opens Parliament tomorrow. So we hope that they have a very pleasant and a very productive meeting. This is a serious bit of work that they're doing on our behalf. I'd like to begin by reading a safety notice. In the event of an emergency, please evacuate council chambers to the nearest exit through the chamber doors and obey all instructions given. If assistance is required, please see the clerk. And once you have evacuated the building, please gather in the front parking lot outside of Town Hall. Please ensure that your telephones, your cell phones are on silent or they're turned off. And lastly, the Town of Lincoln Council meetings are posted on our YouTube channel. Closed captioning is available on all of our videos by selecting the closed captioning button on the bottom right of the video. The Town of Lincoln, being part of the Niagara region, is situated on treaty land. This land is steeped in the rich history of the First Nations, such as the Hattawandurunk, the Haudenosaunee, the Anishinaabe, including the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. There are many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people from across Turtle Island that live and work in Niagara today. The regional municipality of Niagara and the Town of Lincoln stands with all Indigenous people past and present in promoting the wise stewardship of the lands on which we live. All members of council are in attendance, and we have staff in attendance this meeting, as well as Regional Councillor Foster. And Madam Clerk, it's my understanding that you are the acting CAO. Is that correct? Well, we may have to call on you.
That's my song.
Also, we have Regional Councillor Foster in attendance. Do members have any amendments to the order of the agenda? There being none, are there any declarations of interest? Do members have any announcements? Please remember that you have a limit of 3. And we have Councillor Murray. Go ahead.
Thank you very much, Mayor Easton. Through you, I wanted to just, to the public watching, I wanted to thank those who attended the Ward 3 Town Hall meeting last week, Thursday. It was a fabulous event, and we really appreciated the attendance of senior staff there as well. And so thank you to everyone who participated.
Thank you. I'm sorry that I wasn't able to attend. I understand there were 50 or 60 people, maybe more?
More than 60.
Well done, well done. Councillor Pachariva. Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. And on everyone's place setting tonight, you'll see an invitation to the second annual Age-Friendly and Active Community Advisory Committee's slow roll. So I would invite all of council and Your Worship to ride with us. It's going to be a learning morning on how to navigate safely through our town's active transportation network. Starting and ending at Rotary Park, we're going to have stops at Prokich Park, at Rotary Park, and Hillary Bald Park, where there's going to be rest stops, there'll be water filling. You can join if that's your neighborhood, and we're going to end up at Rotary Park. We've got some slap bands that you'll be able to ride at night and be seen. We've got a few lights still to hand out. And it's a family event that we encourage families to come out and ride together. There's the QR code on the slow roll poster, which will be on our social media and in the newspaper. I'm going to shamelessly promote it Thursday morning when I'm on the round table. And yeah, you can register. We ask that you wear a helmet and any form of wheeled transportation. So bicycle, rollerblades, scooter, you name it. So I would encourage all members of council to join us because like some of the staff said, they had no idea that this was such an easy traverse. So, fantastic. It's not a race, it's a slow roll. So
Okay.
there's no prizes. Okay? Thank you.
You're welcome. Councillor Timmers.
Sounds like a great event, Councillor Pachariva. Two quick announcements on my side. Last Thursday was the official launch of the Lincoln Pelham Public Library Bookmobile. And it's just so exciting to see that. It's going to be providing a lot of access for different parts of the community to borrow books, and the van itself is fantastic. It's just a beautiful state-of-the-art, and I was very excited to be there for that. They're also having a Name the Bookmobile van as well. There's a contest happening right now. Also, on Saturday, I was at Meet the Fleet, put on by our Public Works, and a shout out to Dave Graham and all the staff. That's a lot of effort to put that all together, and it was well attended. There were a lot of happy people there that day, and the weather was a little cool, but the rain stayed off. So anyway, it was great. Thank you, Mary Easton.
Thank you very much. And Councillor Mikulik.
Thank you very much. On May the 12th, a number of us were at an open house or a visitation of a new business in town. AMSI stands for Applied Modern System Integration. This is a company that I want to thank our director, Paul Dayani, for organizing this tour. It was an amazing facility. It employs engineers, skilled trades, jobs that pay enough to be able to live in this town. One of the things that we challenged our director of, economic development was to, create these sorts of jobs, draw these sorts of businesses to town. And, it's a building setback, and you don't notice it until you go inside and you see what they're doing in there, and it's truly amazing and definitely a welcome addition to the town of Lincoln. So, thank you.
Thanks very much, Councillor. Yes, it was quite an eye-opener. It was a good morning. All right. We have two proclamations this evening. We don't have delegations, but I'll read the proclamations. For for deafblindness, and that is one word, deafblindness. Whereas deafblindness is a unique disability that incorporates the loss of both sight and hearing, individuals who are deafblind can live full, meaningful lives as independently as possible with the right supports in place, such as intervener services. And whereas Canadian Helen Keller Centre is a not-for-profit organization that supports individuals who are deafblind to increase their independence and improve their quality of life through specialized services. And whereas everyone is encouraged to help promote deafblindness by attending an awareness event, proclaiming June as National Deafblind Awareness Month in your community, and checking out the calendar of events at www.deafblindnetworkontario.com. That includes flag raisings and lighting up of local landmarks in communities across Canada. And whereas June should be designated as National Deafblind Awareness Month to recognize and celebrate the contributions that individuals who are deafblind make in their communities with the support of interveners who serve as a bridge to communication for individuals who are deafblind. Now therefore, I, Sandra Easton, Mayor of the Town of Lincoln, do hereby proclaim June 2025 as Deafblind Awareness Month. And it's dated this 26th day of May, 2025. Thank you, Madam Clerk. The second proclamation is to recognize June as Pride Month. Whereas cities around the world recognize June as Pride Month, being dedicated to celebrating the sexual and gender diverse community and its supporters. Whereas Pride Niagara has been developing positive and safer spaces, providing social connectivity, information, and community outreach while spearheading local activism throughout the Niagara region. Whereas over the past 15 years, Pride Niagara has become the longest operating not-for-profit exclusively serving Niagara's LGBTQ2S+ communities, from monthly events across the region to the annual Pride Niagara Festival, celebrating the queer community and its allies. Whereas Pride Month is a time to celebrate the diversity of the LGBTQ2S+ community across Canada, but also in the Town of Lincoln, and to recommend to recommit the importance on achieving diversity, equity, and inclusion across our community. Whereas the Town of Lincoln, along with Pride Niagara, recognizes our community members by annually raising the Pride flag. Now therefore, I, Sandra Easton, Mayor of the Town of Lincoln, do hereby proclaim June 2025 as Pride Month, dated this 26th day of May 2025. Thank you. The clerk will ensure that the proclamation is provided to Pride Niagara, and we also have a flag raising for Pride Month that is scheduled for Monday, June the 2nd at 1 p.m. Item number 9 is recognition and achievements, and we have none this evening. Item 10, delegations and presentations. We will now consider item 10.1, which is the Regional Councillor update. Councillor Foster, please come forward and make your presentation.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me here again. This evening, I did some council highlights from this past Thursday night for you. And there's a reason for that, and I'm going to go into that as we go through some of those. But as Mayor Easton said earlier, unfortunately, we didn't get to the Ward 3 meeting this past week. But Everything I've heard says you guys did a great job with that. So the first item that we dealt with was Councillor Davies stepping aside from the region now that he's a member of Parliament. And that always makes for interesting times for the municipalities to decide how they're going to fill the position. We had Pelham just recently did it as well with Councillor Huson moving away. A bunch of these other items on here are important. The Consolidated Housing Master Plan, that came through council. And several items within that were approved. And one of the key things for you is that at the region, we made a motion saying that if there's any fees associated with any of these homes that are coming into place for the Niagara Regional Housing, we're going to be waiving those at the region, and that there's going to be information coming back to you. There was a suggestion within that motion that the municipalities do the same thing, but obviously it's up to the municipalities to decide that. Then there's a sequence of things that I put onto this for you, and what I really want you to take a look at is the dollar values that are going on with these. The Niagara Falls Wastewater Treatment Plant, that particular is the old wastewater treatment plant. And there's $5 million being spent right now on engineering and redesign that's going on with that particular plant. This is separate and aside from what I believe will be in excess of $500 million for the new South Niagara Falls wastewater treatment plant. The Welland Water Treatment Plant, again, there is a new water main and road construction that's coming into play with that, $14 million plus. The good thing is Rankin Construction, which is a local construction firm, landed that particular one. The resurfacing program, well over $6 million. There was additional funding received from the Canada-wide Early Learning and Childcare Agreement. That's $2.1 million that came in. Those funds are directly put into that particular program. So there's no effect on the levy, but again, these are additional funds that have come through from the upper levels of government. We had quite a discussion about the Niagara, the police, the standalone backup facility for it's called the NG 911. It's coming into play, so it's the next generation 911 system. Interestingly enough, there was an awful lot of discussion about it, but it's not like we have a choice. That does have to be put in play. We are mandated to do that. But again, the dollar figure, well over $10 million being spent. Insurance, we talked about that through the corporate services. Insurance costs one heck of a lot at the region, as it does here as well. We're going to be looking at doing an RFP next year in and around insurance. So to take away from this is that it's not cheap to run municipalities by any stretch of the imagination. Niagara has some fairly significant expenses that come into play. Anytime there is a discussion about a water or a wastewater treatment plant, you're already talking millions before you even get started within these things. I saw that you guys had an opportunity to do some visiting of plants with water and wastewater, and that's great. We here in Niagara West, I think we have pretty good infrastructure that's come into play. There's been upgrades at Baker Road. There's been upgrades at the Grimsby Water Treatment Plant. The new facility up on the hill that's going and storing and forwarding water up to up to West Lincoln. These are top-notch facilities, but they all cost one heck of a lot of money to put in place. So Anyway, I'll let that one sit for a second. But brings me to the motion that came through council last week. Lots of debate in and around it. We have essentially provided guidance to staff saying our expectation is 3.5% coming in this upcoming year for budget. So, is it possible? Don't know. Mayor Easton and I have had an opportunity to talk about some of this as well. The reality is that there's going to be some tough decisions are going to have to be made in and through this budget process this upcoming year. There's going to be information provided to us where they're essentially saying, well, if you want your 3.5%, this is what it is. And by the way, these are the things that we are cutting, or we're going to have to consider spending less on within that. There was a recommendation, I think it was you, Sandra, but one of the councillors had recommended that those be prioritized when they come back as well. So anyway, we gotta, you guys know this as well, budgets aren't fun. This is not going to be a fun year by any stretch of the imagination in and around the budget process. We still don't know the effect of what's going to be going on with tariffs and how that's going to affect Niagara Region. Again, we're a big exporter and we're a big importer with our businesses here. So with that, I'm going to leave it at that for this evening, that nice cheery budget comment. So.
Thanks very much, Rob. Councillor Murray.
Thank you very much. Through you, Mayor Easton, to Councillor Foster. The 3.5% levy increase guidance, I find that a really interesting idea. And I'm interested in knowing, similar to what you just said, 3.5 is only slightly over cost of living increase. I know that construction actually has gone considerably higher. That's the consumer price index as opposed to the construction one. So as you said, some projects are being cut, would need to be cut. Is there anything on the table? So two-part question. Anything on the table that would be, hey, these are the things that we think are going to be at peril? And the second piece would be, what about all of these additional mandated things like the 911 thing, which is mandated by the province, but we end up paying for? Is there any kind of conversations about the province ponying up a little bit on that?
Well, there's three really good questions that you had within that. So the first is the NG 911. No, that's a done deal. That's coming through. The monies that are going into that are being pulled from the capital levy reserve that we have to go and finish that particular one off. As far as organizations being able to stay within the 3.5%, it's going to be tough, to say the least. Niagara Transit, your representative on that knows that that's not what they're looking at. They're looking at considerably more. And I can tell you is that the police are looking at considerably more. The big part of our meeting last week was discussing the process that we're going to go through. We're going to be into budget now every month, at least twice, between now and the end of December. So there's meetings lined up for us. We're going to have each one of the ABCs that we have to come in and spend time with us with their own meeting to talk to us about the challenges that it is that they have. And we're going to see where all of that goes to. So as far as the decision as to, having a 3.5 and going from there, well, I think it's fair to say, and again, Mayor Easton can jump on this one if she wants to, but I've generally been a believer of building from the bottom up when it comes to budgets, but it's not working at the region, okay? We've come in the last number of years with incredibly high, and we've had to make decisions that we're just simply not able to do. So this is going to force us all to take a real second look at what's happening within all of these areas within the region. So it's going to be challenging. And, you know, I'll be bringing information. Mary Easton will be bringing information to you as well on where we're at and the decisions that are being made each step along the line. So
Thank you very much.
Councillor Mikulak?
Through you to Councillor Foster, so further to that question, why now with the 3.5%? Why wasn't this being done in the past? How come, why now during these times with, like, as you mentioned, tariffs, uncertainty, increases of costs, and all this sort of thing?
well, good question. I think if you're looking for my opinion on this, and again, you know, I wasn't involved with the region back a number of years ago, but the region very typically did exactly what it is that we're doing now, and that is they set the percent that they're willing to live with as the regional council going into the budget process. But that was failing at the time. You know, there was a lot of decisions that were made that were not good. I mean, you know, coming in at 0% tax increases, I mean, that was nonsensical back then. I think the way this is going to work is at least it's going to force staff to say, you know, we better make sure that we have those mandatory things well taken care of. We got to make sure that those things that are critically important for the citizens of Niagara are being taken care of first. And the things that are maybe not so important, let's talk about community improvement programs. Let's talk about some of these other areas. Maybe it's time we finally made the decisions on those things and make the changes that the region has been talking about for a number of years. So I think it's the right time to do it.
Through you, I've always been a proponent for setting guidance for budgets. This is to keep things affordable with inflation. What I hear from the residents within our area is, you know, their salaries don't go necessarily up to the degree that their property, or to the percentage their property taxes go up. So I'm in favor of this sort of guidance, and I think it promotes this idea or this concept of real needs and real wants, and luxury items and luxury staffing. You know, do we really need this? Do we really need that? And I think that this is a good way to find that out. So with that, is there going to be more of this 3.5% targeted towards operations or capital, or is that yet to be seen?
It's a number across the board, so operations and capital.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Just if I may, Mary Easton, there's no panacea out of anything, of all of this stuff. We had a report come in and through our Public Works Department back just not so long ago that basically said, starting point, $1.8 billion in repairs and development have to go on within the region, just in the water and wastewater area. Okay? So, you know, it's kind of important for us to be taking a look across the board and saying, okay, what other areas can we actually pare back on as we're actually tackling some of these things? So, anyway, it's a big issue all the way around.
Thanks very much, Councillor. Councillor Chambers.
Thank you, Mary Easton. Through you to Councillor Foster. Thanks for being here tonight. And I was watching that meeting. It was a really interesting conversation that went on a very long time. And I couldn't stop watching because I had to see what the outcome would be. But, you know, when I saw the 3.5, I think my eyes went a little like, and but I understand the intent of the motion. to put a little, here's the goalpost, like, can we get there?
Yep.
But, it does seem to me a little, I don't know, it's a bit pie in the sky, like, just to keep the lights on and operations going, what percentage are you starting? What's your starting point at the region?
Well, we were told coming out of our budget last year that the percent that the region was looking at was almost 12% coming into this upcoming year. Okay, so there was a major starting point that was going on with that. Scared the bejesus out of a few of us, to say the least. Okay, I mean, we have been in good conscience investing in a wide variety of things at Niagara Region. Okay, the infrastructure, the programs, making sure that things are running as efficiently as we possibly can. Given the size of the organization type of thing. So, but I think the general feeling with council is, well, we're going to have to do more.
Yeah.
So, if we come in at 3.5%, you're all going to get a really nice Christmas present from me this upcoming year. A little better than the normal one that I give you. So, but I think when it's all said and done, this is a good starting point. And by the way, there's going to be big time discussions going on at Niagara Region about those things that aren't going to be able to continue. I mean, that has to be the discussion that's coming into play, and we got to set the course. I would suggest that's going on. So,
I think it's going to be a very difficult process and some very serious conversations about what's going to be cut. You're going to have to do some major cuts to get to that percentage.
we shall see.
Thank
Yep.
you. And it was an interesting meeting. The other thing that really I was very happy to see was the Niagara Region, the motion of waiving application, permitting, and fees for nonprofits and co-ops in Niagara Regional Housing.
Correct.
I was very happy to see that, and I think it's very timely, and I don't have a question around it, but I just wanted to make that comment, because it's something that I'm hoping to bring forward here at this council as well, so.
Just remember, though, with any of these things that we quote-unquote waive, there's always ramifications with that as well, so. What do they always say, Mary Easton? It's every night is budget night, yeah.
Yeah.
So the reality is that those types of decisions are going to have effect elsewhere.
Absolutely.
So, anyway,
Yep.
you're quite right. Actually, I was very pleased to see that as well.
Yeah,
So.
I was. Thank you very much for your report tonight. Thank you, Mary Easton.
Thank you, Worship. Rob, thanks for being here. A low-hanging fruit one for you to coordinate with our director, Mr. Graham, for the region to come back, and I know it's probably weather dependent. They started resurfacing potholes on King Street. Got a lot of them done around the Mountain View area, but between 30 Road and King Street, there's still some enormous ones. Center line, there's one at the corner of Crescent and King that every time I pull around the corner, I hit it.
That's a special one.
Is it for me?
Yes.
Okay, well,
Yes.
thank you.
So-
Then, you know what, I'm going to put my name on it. But, yeah, there's, I know what, we're resurfacing it and, the rebuild there, but just for, especially now with tour season, and those people not being aware of where some of these are, if we could look into that.
Yeah, Councillor Bernay got a hold of me a little while ago about that area, and our director was able to get the operational crew out to take a look at that. Now, the reality is that, they're operational crew for many parts of Niagara, not just Lincoln. But they did go through and make some improvements. I took a drive down there as well. I'd say the worst was taken care of. And there's also this lost leader idea that goes on too, because that is being redone, that road. So, by hook or by crook, there's going to be a brand-new pavement on there in the not-too-distant future. So, anyway, but yes, and if you have very specific ones, send me an email on the spot, and I'll make sure the director is aware of it. So,
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Easton. Thanks, Rob, for being here again tonight, for your availability on a regular basis. Thank you very much. We've had this discussion going back to everyone's favorite budget conversation. We've had this discussion before, Rob, about tax reform in the form of us getting more of us being the towns and municipalities getting a more consistent stream of revenue. We've passed a couple of similar motions over this term to the province, just to, in big general terms, to make us whole. They've promised to do that, so we've been encouraging them to, make good on that. Is there any, are you aware of any movement? Like the province gets the, I think a lot of, Councillor Mikulak made the point about property taxes, and I have that conversation with some of the constituents quite often, but that's the one that's the most visible. Gas tax and alcohol tax and sales tax, those are the ones that I think we pay and we don't even realize it. And I know Charlotte's not here, but I forget the percentage, I won't quote it, but it's an incredibly small amount of the tax dollar that we get, the town of Lincoln, like of the dollar that you spend. The region would fit in that too. Yeah. So is there anything that you see, as far as tax reform coming down the pipe anytime soon along those lines?
I would only be offering opinion
I'll take
on
that.
But the reality and you're bang on. The most regressive form of tax is property taxes. I mean, in a lot of ways, it just doesn't make sense. And the fact that we go and we say, this is the pot of money that we are going to be spending, and by the way, if we spend $5 more, it becomes a big to-do because it's percentages and stuff like that. I made the point back a while ago at the region that the province, and actually at the mayor and I, when we were at our politicians' breakfast as well, the reality is that more revenue came in from an income tax point of view to the province, and yet they spent more, and yet there was no discussion about it. Okay, so the reality is that we're kind of, I'm going to use the term screwed, I think, with the whole taxation system the way it is. And I really dislike the fact that we have to go cap in hand to the province and to the federal government saying, we have to do this stuff. You guys do an incredibly good job of getting grants and this type of thing here with the town. But the amount of work that goes into that is also pretty incredible. I mean, you have staff that actually have to work these things through and get that right information there to get it. And yet, I think that money should be flowing anyway. So, maybe that's one of those evenings. I'm still debating about doing an event down at Bench Brewery that's going to involve discussions about politics in general. I think that would be a good discussion. So,
Thanks, Rob. Thank you, Mayor Easton.
Thank you very much. Through you, typically I keep my questions to your report, but when Councillor Patrieva brings up a pothole, I'm going to bring up this. One of the things we heard at our ward meeting was traffic on regional roads. All regional roads in Ward 3 has been impossible, and it's just about impossible.
Define impossible.
Define impossible as the length of time required to get through an intersection, to get through a stop sign, a four-way stop, to make a left turn onto the North Service Road, during all this highway construction. And unless you experience it, you wouldn't know, even coming home from St. Catharines. And I'm just curious, I just want to put a little more strength to this discussion because we've detailed it to Director Graham. But do you know if the region has been thinking about this or looking at this, like with respect to King Street, 4th Avenue, as well as the North and South Service Road? The amount of traffic and
So I'll say that I'm a little bit confused with the question, but I think what you're trying to get at, if I can paraphrase, certainly there has been interesting times on the North Service Road connection with Jordan Road, and the South Service Road with Jordan Road, and certainly the connection coming in off of on Victoria and those areas as well. Yeah, there's been issues with that, but that's because of construction that's going on out on the highway. I mean, you don't have exclusive rights to understanding what's going on with traffic down there. I go through there all the time. I have, and when I have to go to the region, if we're going down to the region on a Thursday night, I have to dipsy doodle all over the countryside to get down there, otherwise I'm going to be late, or at least, or leave 2 hours early type of thing, right? So yes, it's a bit of a problem, to say the least. There's going to be all sorts of construction going on over on the North Service Road area as Prudhoe starts moving towards being online. So the intersection of Victoria and North Service Road, that's going to change. The entranceways into Prudhoe, what's happening down at Jordan Road as well, all of that stuff is going to change. So, you know, but that's all coming. That's over the next number of years. I think one of the better changes that we made, and actually it was with your help, was putting the four-way stop at the South Service Road and Jordan Road after those horrific accidents that we had seen down there. So, you know, anyway.
I think you're done.
Yeah.
Counselor,
Yep.
you really pushed my patience because
How's that?
you are absolutely not on track in terms of this report. The idea is not that we would ask questions except based on the information that the counselor has brought to us. I'm not getting into an argument with you about it, and I'm also not going to be calling points of order. You should know. So we're done with this topic.
I'm asking our regional counselor to advocate on our behalf.
Thank you
for
very much for
regional
that.
issues.
This is not the format to do that.
Oh, okay.
I
I'm
mean,
learning.
he's given us his
Yeah,
list. If you
okay.
want to ask him questions about what's on the list, that's great. And you can, there are mechanisms to ask questions, but we are done with this now.
He
This is
makes
a very
himself
compli-
available.
this is
He
a
makes
very-
himself available to take
I
questions,
understand.
provide a report.
We
And
are
now you're
finished.
telling, I'm learning something now that this is not something I should be doing.
That is correct.
Okay. Very
Okay.
good. Thank you.
very
Appreciate your
much.
guidance.
Thank you. I would like to speak about the budget matter. Counselor Russell, you are next. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just, again, a point of order through you to maybe the clerk to give some insight. So in matters like this, where we had two counselors ask questions off the list of the report that was brought forward by the regional counselor, what
Which one did I miss?
potholes?
My apologies.
Which, again, I just think, just to make sure that the messaging is the same to everybody, if that is the case,
Right.
then we need to make sure that we're consistent in that.
All right, I guess this one, my apologies. This one was obviously more obvious than the pothole one. My apologies to the council. Thank you very much, Counselor. Okay. We'll move on. I'll report, as we get a little bit further on in the budget, I'll discuss some of the justification that I think is going to make 3.5% practical in this year, in the 2026 years, whereas before, it has actually got us into the biggest hole that we could ever imagine at the current time. The asset management plan is coming forward, and we'll probably have more information, starting with last year's assessment. We'll have more information than we've probably ever had on some of these projects. That's going to make a difference. We'll be able to know upfront what the impacts are, whereas before, we didn't have that information. So
I think,
Thank you.
yeah, I think if I can add to what you just said too, is that, you know, we're very fortunate in Niagara. We've been able to do funding towards hospitals. We've been able to do, and you know, same thing here with the town of Lincoln. But it's not in our mandate, okay? Like, it just isn't there, but we're doing what's right for the community. You know, wide variety of other areas. This economic development piece of the puzzle, there's 29.1 million is going to be going out from the region next year. That's the base for DC credits and for the tax incentive grants that are coming into play. 29.1, and there's 29.0 this year. So there's a lot of money going out to these programs that we are not mandated to do. So, you know, sooner or later, we're gonna have to pay the piper on this stuff. So anyway, thank you, Mary Easton. I appreciate your comment.
Thank you very much. I have a motion moved by Councillor Brunet, seconded by Councillor Timmers, that council receive and file for information the following delegation, Regional Councillor Foster. Madam Clerk, would you please open the vote?
Thank you, and the vote is now open. And I'll close that vote. That carries.
All right, that motion carried, and we move on now. Thank you very much, Councillor Foster. We move on to item number 11, which is items for consideration. We have no items for consideration this evening. Item 12 is a motion to approve the previous council minutes. We're now considering item 12.1, council minutes of April 28th. Do members of council have any questions? There being none, I have a motion moved by Councillor Reimer, seconded by Councillor Majima, that council approve the minutes of the following meetings of council minutes of April 28, 2025. Madam Clerk, would you please open the vote?
Thank you, and the vote is now open.
I'm just gonna try restarting or something, it's not working, but I'm in favor.
Thank you. And I'll close that vote, and that carries. Thanks.
The motion is carried. We move on to recommendations from standing committees, and we are considering the following: the Committee of the Whole workshop minutes of May 7th, 2025, and Committee of the Whole minutes of May 12th, 2025. Do members of council have any questions?
Seeing none.
There being none, I have a motion moved by Councillor Mikulik and seconded by Councillor Russell that council approve the following recommendations from standing committees: Committee of the Whole workshop minutes of May 7th, 2025, Committee of the Whole minutes of May 12th, 2025. Madam Clerk, would you please open the vote?
Thanks, Madam Mayor, and the vote is now open.
I'm in favor.
Are you in favor? You're in favor? Thank you. I'll close that vote. That carries. Thank you.
Thank you. The motion is carried. Item 14 is a notice of motion, and we are considering this motion that was brought forward by Councillor Pachariva and seconded by Councillor Timmers. It will be introduced this evening, and we will seek an affirmative 2/3 vote for immediate consideration. I have a motion moved by Councillor Murray, seconded by Councillor Brunet. Whereas Procedure Bylaw 2022-04 provides that notices of motion shall not be discussed or debated upon introduction, but shall be included on the next regular council meeting agenda for consideration. And whereas Section 7.8.5 of the Town of Lincoln Procedural Bylaw 2022-04 permits a notice of motion to be considered upon its introduction by an affirmative vote of 2/3 of the members present. And whereas it is deemed impractical or not in the best interest of the Town of Lincoln to delay consideration, Therefore, be it resolved that the pertinent rules contained in Section 7.8 of the procedural bylaw 2022-04 be waived to permit the introduction and consideration by council of the notice of motion on the council agenda pertaining to affordable housing. Madam Clerk, would you please open the vote? This is a vote to waive the procedure.
And the vote is open. And I will close that vote. That carries.
Okay, the motion is carried, and now I'll turn to Councillor Pachariva. Councillor Pachariva, would you like to provide comments pertaining to your motion?
Thank you very much, Your Worship. Being a member of the Housing Select Committee, Councillor Timmers and myself have, worked through a lot of background studies on the pitfalls and happenings of affordable housing. And this council made an initiative that this is something that they want to do. The report that we received at our May 12th Committee of the Whole entitled Affordable Housing Initiatives, Funding Implications on Timelines and Feasibility. A couple of the main things in order to move forward with any affordable housing project is suitable lands. That's deemed the most important thing. That's a lot of the impediments to these developments is having the land. And a success of any development requires extensive support of the municipality in the form of expedited approvals, flexible planning policies, and regulations. Support from a political perspective, especially in the increase in scale, where a lot of times you get pushback from the public. Capital funding programs from senior levels of government unfortunately haven't kept up with this process. So there's two of the three things that municipal council can heavily influence. One is helping with providing land or finding suitable land, and the other is helping along with the planning process. So that's the genesis of my notice of motion this evening.
Thank you very much. Any questions, councillors?
Thank you very much, Mayor Easton. Through you to Councillor Pachariva regarding this motion. I agree that this site has potential, in fact, to support the inclusion of affordable housing, and I think there's other sites we've looked at that haven't been a good fit, and this does appear to have a good fit. But I'm concerned that at this point, perhaps we're putting the cart before the horse, so to speak, in that we're currently in the process of public engagement and research into what possibilities are for this. And we don't know yet what the results of those public engagement matters are. So I'm concerned that we're preempting that process by already asking them to include something that may or may not be part of the outcome of that process. So I'm wondering what the impetus is for doing this now and why you feel we can't wait until that public engagement results have been presented.
Just give me a moment.
Sorry.
We're going to redo this list. Okay, can everyone come off the list except for Councillor Murray so that Councillor Pachariva can come back on? I have a list, so.
I think I have to come out anyway.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Your Worship. And Councillor Murray, that's a good question. You know what, having, been involved with, and only my short time on the committee, 2 years, but it's my understanding, Councillor Bernay, Councillor Renshima, Councillor Mikluck were on this, like, this has been going on for 12 years. And we see, the committee has been sitting there and studying this and ruling out things and tossing things out. And it's time to put, I'm not going to say a shovel in the ground, but draw a line in the sand. We're either in this game or we're not. We're not saying where it's going to be, and the BDSS property might become a larger precinct. But at some point, we need to say we're either in or we're out. And having a report like this that we received from Josh at the last meeting, these are two of the variables that we can control. And sure, in the public interactions we're going to have, we're going to be forthright and state, affordable housing is going to be part of this. There are no ifs, ands, or buts. And we've already had people bail off the committee over the time period because of inaction. We've talked this out, we've talked it through. There's a lot of eyes on. We've had some meetings with Habitat for Humanity. There's a bunch of groups out there that want to be involved. And the first step in the whole game is our commitment that we will help with the land. That's all I ask. I don't ask, I'm not going to say it's going to be in this quadrant. It's not going to tie the hands of anyone else. But someone like Habitat works with groups that actually develop areas and can help move forward the whole project. So that's the importance of it now.
Councillor Murray, I'm going to ask Director Deanne to respond, and then if you have any comments, you can come back on as well. Go ahead, Paul.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you to the committee this evening. So we are still undertaking an engagement process when it comes to BDSS. The councillor is correct in the sense that some of our affordable housing conversations and not-for-profit conversations with stakeholders has indicated BDSS as a potential option for affordable housing. We're still undertaking some of that consideration and some of that engagement, and we are obviously coming back later on this year with a game plan and action item for council to consider. But internal discussions have identified affordable housing as being a top priority for this council, and BDS being a potential option and solution. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Focus your response, your question in response to Director Deanne's comments, please. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Mayor Easton. Through you to Director Deanne. So, Paul, I'm hearing you say that there is potential for affordable housing there, that there is options for that there. And I would agree with that. I'm just a little bit concerned that at this point in the process, that we are sidestepping all of the conversations that we're in the middle of and saying, you know what, forget about what we were talking about. We're going to do affordable housing, and then we'll talk about it afterwards. Like it feels to me that that this particular motion would be great to come up in 3 months when the public engagement piece is done and the public has said, as per council, yes, it is our priority that this spot should be public housing, at which point then, yes, absolutely, we can set some aside and say that whoever wants to develop there, affordable housing has to be a part of that conversation.
Okay, thank you very much, Councillor Murray. Mr. Deanne, do you have anything further to add?
Madam Mayor, I mean, just through, like I reiterate what I previously mentioned is that, we have identified the need for affordable housing, BDSS, obviously the former site, as being a potential option. But at this point, I don't think we've come back to formalize some of those ideas. So we look forward to coming back later on this year with some of those game plans to council.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Murray?
Can I have a second question as well?
You certainly can.
Thank you very much. Through you then, to whoever would be the appropriate respondent, is there an expectation that this motion translates into a dollar or a levy cost? And the reason that I ask that is in follow-up to some of the comments that Councillor Foster made about the region, in that through the best of intentions, the region has developed programs and policies somewhat outside of its mandate because it's the best thing for their community. And now the regional taxpayer is on the hook for programs that are not necessarily part of the region's mandate. So when we're resolving something like this, that we're committing to making a portion of the site available, I'm wondering if that is something that we are also asking our residential, our municipal residential homeowners to take on that tax burden, even though it is outside of the mandate of the municipality.
Okay. I don't think we have the answer to that question, but for Madam Clerk, Madam Acting CAO, do you have a comment?
I do, and so I understand, Councillor, where you're coming from, in that there's still lots of engagement still to happen. I do know that Director Bruder, Director Deanne, and our CAO, Kirkopoulos, worked on this, helping the councillor craft it based on some of the outpouring of reports that came out of the Housing Advisory Committee. I do hear what you're saying, and so when you come to the last paragraph of the motion, it does say, and so I just want to also clarify that it's a part of the site. It's not the whole site, right? Which I think is important to mention. But if you look at the last paragraph, therefore be it resolved that Town of Council will commit to making a portion of the BDSS site available for nonprofit affordable housing project. I'll stop there. And perhaps maybe you would want to amend that to say that the Town Council will investigate a portion and what the costs would be associated with that. And I think that, I don't know if that helps at all, but we definitely could come back with that when we have more information on what that would be. Right now, we don't have the treasurer. We do have our acting treasurer on tonight, but I think that we don't have those answers right now in terms of what does that look like? Is that an extra levy? Is that going to be, a capital? I don't know.
Fair enough, and through you, Mayor Easton, yes, I'm not comfortable with the idea that we are committing to something without understanding the cost of that commitment. So if we could get some clarity around that or change the wording so that the commitment is contingent on an approval of the costs involved, I would be more comfortable.
Councillor Murray, do you want to amend the motion? Okay, well, you can work on that, and we'll just continue on here. Councillor Timmers, go ahead.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, you were next. How did you slip in there? You had to come off.
Because I thought, since I was seconding the motion, that I would be able to comment a little bit
No, you have
earlier
to-
in the conversation,
You
but
were not.
that's
I
fine.
actually, so the list is Murray, Renchima, Russell, Timmers. Okay? All right. Go ahead, Councillor Renchima.
Okay, thank you, Madam Mayor. And I'm glad that we're talking about this because we've talked about creating and allowing for attainable housing on this site for quite a while, but never committing, of course, because we've just taken control of the site. I think it's a great idea to talk about it and to start talking about it now officially. And Councillor Pachiriva is right. We've had a housing task force and a housing committee for 7 years now, and yeah, the frustrating thing is that it's complicated, it's complex, it's a complex issue. Who does what, and all the way from here, all the way up to the province and the federal government, all the way back down. Who's responsible for what? How do we make something happen? What can we do? So I'm glad that we're talking about this. I think it's great that you both brought it forward. So that we can think about making at least a solid move or at least a commitment of some kind moving forward. I understand Councillor Murray's concerns, so just to that, I would be in favor of changing it slightly just to say we're committing to definitely looking into this. But my question, Madam Mayor, I have a couple of suggested really just wording things. I was confused when I read it, and I was confused about, particularly the fourth paragraph. It says, and I have two suggestions, but the first one is for the fourth paragraph. It says, whereas the former Beamsville District Secondary School site presents a valuable opportunity for future mixed-use development, and working for a planning firm, I'm aware that mixed-use development refers to the idea of having commercial and residential in one building. So I would just like to change that term so it's a little more clear, because I think the intent was to say, my suggested wording would be that, whereas the former Beamsville District Secondary School site presents a valuable opportunity to ensure the development of a wide range of housing types, which reflect the town's priorities, including affordable and attainable housing. So just some wording, because I found that confusing, because I'm aware of what the term mixed-use development means. I can send you that suggested wording, and then you'll be aware of it. Madam Clerk, if you,
Do you have that, Madam Clerk?
She's going to send it to me, but I'd like to actually, we have a motion. So, Madam Mayor, we do have an amendment on the floor raised by Councillor Murray, and I do need a seconder for that. Can I just have a seconder to get it on the floor there?
I don't know whether it's ready.
It's
Is your,
from
is
Councillor
your
Russell.
amendment ready?
I'm going to put it forward. Yes, and it is
Okay.
ready.
And the seconder is Councillor
It
Russell?
is, and so I would like to start taking questions. So we'll get to you, Councillor Regima, with your other amendment, but I'd like to start taking questions to the, or comments to the amendment, which I will have on the screen in just a minute.
okay.
So unless there's a comment, unless anybody's in that queue that is commenting on that right now. Okay. Just give me 1 second. Yeah, here I thought tonight was my first. I'm just joking.
I really like your comment with the mixed use thing, so we're gonna vote on this. And then once we amend that, what does it do? What happens with yours?
Oh, mine can still happen. It has nothing to do with that. It's okay. Yeah. Mine are just wording.
I think in principle, everybody's been talking about this. We've been having meetings.
Oh, yeah.
Matt Brewer's been meeting with people. Mike's been meeting with people. We had a meeting with Habitat for Humanity. I think this is a little bit premature.
There's people that have been wishing for us to do something, so it doesn't hurt.
I get it.
It doesn't hurt. And that happens a lot where everybody knows the intent is there, but it's not down anywhere, you know what I mean? So I think it drives a little bit when there's emotion, you know? Yeah.
Get one chance to make sure we do this right. One chance.
Investigate the costs and viability of committing to making a portion.
Investigate the costs of committing.
Which part of the motion has changed?
I'm just talking to myself.
Can you refresh your screen? Or I will take it off, and then we'll repost it, okay?
Is it-
So it's right here. So it's the last one. Therefore, be it resolved that Town of Lincoln Council investigate the costs and viability to making a portion of the BDSS site available for nonprofit affordable housing project with the specific location and size to be determined through the ongoing analysis, stakeholder engagement, and alignment with the broader vision for the site's development.
I think it should be out instead of two, but other than that.
Excuse me?
Viability
You think
of
it should
making-
be,
Investigate the cost and viability of making a portion.
Sure,
As opposed to making a portion.
sure. If there's no other comments related to this motion, the amended one, we can take a vote on this amended,
Okay,
okay?
so,
You can make comments to this, yes, to this amendment,
okay, I'll have to check. Counselor Timmers, do you have any comments on the amendment? Okay, you go ahead.
Thank you very much, Mary Stin. I personally am looking for a commitment tonight from council. I think we've been at this table and we've set our priorities and we've said that this is something that's really important to us. And this is part of the community engagement, in my opinion. And I cannot support the amendment as written. I support the original. Thank you.
Do you have comments on the amendment?
I do.
Okay.
Is it possible to see the amendment on the screen?
I'm trying. James, the TV's just went blank. Can you try again, Alexa? It's not showing up.
There it is. Perfect. I just have a question with respect to, for a nonprofit affordable housing project, is this a specific sort of project or is a specific type of housing that we're looking to? Is it, like, I'm not sure exactly what this is, like a nonprofit affordable housing project. To me, it sounds like a targeted or a specific sort of project like Chartwell or something like this. And I'm not sure if we're looking to apportion a piece of the property for affordable housing for new families wanting to buy a first home, condominiums with affordable rents. I'm not sure if we're being pretty specific or being a little too specific to what we're trying to achieve here.
Okay.
I don't know who best to answer that question would be, maybe a
Just,
planning.
I just wanted, I'd like to change something here, and then I want to deal with your question. Madam Clerk, could we please have the motion, the original motion, and then make the changes? Or are these, what portion of this
So
is
this
the
was,
change?
no problem. So this was the last paragraph in the original motion, and I've highlighted what's actually being amended.
Okay, so the only word that's coming out
Is
is the
commit.
word commit. Okay, and all of the rest of the motion is the same as
That's
it was
correct.
written?
That's correct.
Okay, so, I'm just wondering now, Counselor Mikulik, just a little bit more clarification. You're asking a question about whether or not the identification of nonprofit affordable housing project to the exclusion of any other type is what we're really targeting here. Is that your question?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Like,
Okay, so I guess we'll have to ask the mover, the amender. So Counselor Murray, was that your intention to exclude all other?
I can move her.
You come on and we'll find a way to get you up at the top. There you are.
I just recall the spirit of what she was trying to accomplish, and I'm not sure. Investigate the costs and viabilities, like, I don't know
Yep.
for what
Okay.
we're investigating the cost or viability of.
Can I just go to the next speaker?
Yeah, let's see what we can do.
There you're on.
Okay, Counselor Murray.
Thank you very much. Through you, to you, not even through you, just directly to you. So I would suggest that that phrase, which is a nonprofit affordable housing project, was part of the original motion. So then that was not my choice of words. I was assuming that that meant any type of affordable housing project. However, I understand Councillor Mikulik's question to be, is a nonprofit affordable housing project a specific type of affordable housing project, in which case I have no idea.
Okay.
Because that was part of the original motion, the only thing that I wanted to change was rather than saying we are going to commit to this, I would like to commit to investigating. I would like to, first of all, understand the costs and viability of doing that. So the other details of that are outside of my scope.
Okay, all right. The next person on the list is Councillor Brunet. Councillor Brunet, do you have a question to the amendment? You don't. Councillor Renjima, do you have a further question to the amendment?
Not to the amendment, but
Okay.
I would like to come back.
Councillor Russell, do you have a question? Okay. All right,
I can put him up.
okay. And Councillor Renjima, you will be next.
Okay, I'll turn that
Okay.
off.
All right. Go ahead, Councillor Russell. Whoops.
Go back in.
Okay. Go ahead, Councillor Russell.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you to Councillor Murray. Again, I agree with, the amendment as she has provided it. Again, it reiterates, and her reasoning for it is reiterated my position back on February 10th when this was originally discussed as being brought forward somewhere down the road. The one consideration I would like to see if she'd be interested in would be a conversation I had with the CAO last week about this motion and some other potentialities of it, in that the BDSS site may not be exclusively the best option for an affordable housing project. I know that Bonbury Park, which is just adjacent to BDSS, is external of the precinct, is something that he thought might be, again, in consideration for it, and I don't want to exclude that by having this motion be exclusively BDSS. So I'm wondering if it can be a portion of BDSS site or town-owned properties that may be, again, some wording or wordsmithing to the point where that it's BDSS and potential property adjacent in the precinct.
Okay.
Precinct? Is it BDSS site precinct?
Okay. Anything more?
It may, again, I think we're just a quick little discussion here. It may just be the BDSS precinct, which then would include BDSS site currently and those around it.
Okay. All right. Councillor Njima, would you like to come on?
This is to this amendment.
Yes, it is to the amendment.
Next speaker.
I'm not
Okay,
speaking to the
go
amendment.
ahead, Councillor Njima.
I'm not speaking to this particular amendment, and
Oh,
Councillor
I'm
Murray's
sorry.
amendment. But thank you,
It
but when
was-
we're done with that, I do have a comment.
Okay, I thought you said that you did want to be on. Okay, anyone else who wishes to speak to this amendment? Councillor Timmers.
Thank you, Mary Stone. So I stand with what I said about removing the word commitment. I think we do need to make a commitment. This has been going on for years. It's a wide-open commitment. It's a placeholder. That's all it is. We're not saying where, we're not saying how big, we're not saying exactly what it's going to look like. It's just a general commitment to the idea, just as we have to other things that are going to be on site. We've made general statements about this will be there or that could be there. So I have trouble with that. I don't want to just investigate. I think it's time to finally take a stand and actually do something concrete here. So I'm having a problem with the amendment, so I can't support that piece. But I think the piece that Councillor Russell just added about the precinct is good. It makes sense. Because yes, we've had many, many conversations about the other pieces that are owned there as well. So that makes sense to me. So I'm having trouble. I can't approve the amendment if these two pieces are in there together. So we may need to, okay, so we're just going to do this amendment. Okay, all right.
Do you have a comment
I do.
to the amendment?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I just have to clarify something. Councillor Russell, the word precinct, was it your intention to have it added to the motion to describe the site as the BDSS precinct? Okay, well, that needs to take place.
If it'd be Councilor Murray making the amendment.
A mover and a seconder, but he's moving it also, so we've got it on here.
All right, I just want to clarify, Councillor Timmers, you agree or you disagree with that? Just say yes, or which one?
Can you put your mic on? Nobody can hear it.
I agree with the precinct idea. I think that's
Okay.
good, and that's nothing new to us. We
All
know
right,
that.
that's
So
fine.
that's fine. It can be added, but I don't agree with the rest.
All right,
of the
that's
changes.
fine. Okay, thank you very much. So now, Councillor Pachariva.
Yeah, thanks, Your Worship. And yes, I agree with Councillor Russell's addition of the word precinct, because it goes from anywhere from the Fleming Center, or not the Fleming Center, the Lincoln Center and the pool to Bonberry Park. That was the whole concept. But you know what? Having talked to staff, the CAO, Mr. Bruder, Mr. Workington, the word commit needs to be in there. Or you're just going around in circles, right? So I would wholeheartedly accept Councillor Russell's amendment to precinct. I'm fine with that, but the word needs to stay commit. We sit down, you know what, my frustration is I sit down, I work with senior staff on this, and then we get around the horseshoe and we become wordsmiths. And Councillor Timmers and I sit on this committee, we go to the meetings, we read the stuff. Have a little faith in us. Have a little faith in the people that have sat on it, right? And we're not asking for a dollar commitment tonight. What we're asking for is a commitment. And you're either in or you're out.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Councillor Regima, you do have something to say? Very good, go ahead.
Yes, this is to the amendment. So I'm going to not support the amendment, and I'm going to support committing, because over time, we've talked about, at one point, we were talking about having a secondary plan for the site before taking it over and working with the school board. That didn't come to fruition. We seem to be making the decision that we're going to decide what goes on that site as we go along, as we work with the community. So I think it's time to make a decision. I think if we did it, if we had put a secondary plan on the site, we would be talking about a portion of it being for housing of some kind that's attainable. So I'm going to not support the motion to, not support the amendment. My comment, yeah.
Yes, we are, and I'm going to open the vote, and this is to the amendment. And I've highlighted, or I've bolded, where we've removed commit, and I've bolded the words that we've added to this. I'm going to open the vote. Councillor Regima?
There we go.
Thank you. And I'll close that vote. And that loses. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I sent out my suggested, yeah, it's wordsmithing, but it, for the fourth paragraph, the term mixed-use housing threw me off, so it may throw others off too. Mixed-use development, I'm sorry. So I sent out my suggested wording just to make it more general and still have the same intent. I did, I sent it to Julie, yeah. And I also have
Can I get a seconder for that amendment, please? I'm going to put it up in just a minute.
I guess everybody needs to see it.
Sure.
It's been a few minutes.
Yep. Alexa, can you please put that on the screen? So this is the fourth paragraph in the original motion, Madam Mayor. And whereas the former Beamsville District Secondary School BDSS represents a valuable opportunity to ensure the development of a wide range of housing types which reflect the town's priorities, including affordable and attainable housing. So Councilor Regima is amending, removing for a future mixed-use development.
Okay. Mover and seconder, are you accepting?
Can I please have a seconder? And that's Councilor Murray. Okay. Any comments to this?
Councillor Regima, are you finished?
No, I do have another,
Okay, go ahead.
after this motion, I have another comment.
But is it to this?
It's not to this paragraph, no.
So we're on this amendment right now, so do we have any comments from anybody else?
Councillor Weimer?
Thank you, Mary Easton. Through you, could I ask the mover and the seconder of this motion, does this stay with your intent of the original motion? Is this keeping in for this amendment? Sorry, Councillor Patrick and Councillor Timmers.
Go ahead, Councillor Patrick.
Yeah, thanks, Your Worship. I think it restricts it because, most of our planning developments that come forward, developers are always looking for a mixed-use component to it. Very rarely do they want residential on the bottom floor. So I would be amenable to leaving in future mixed-use development that reflects the town's, and then what Councillor Regima said, insert it there. Right? Again, it's just you're tying hands when you don't need to tie hands at this point. We want it open-ended, so I would be attentive to just moving that phrase over, leaving in future mixed use, again, knowing that staff worked with us on this. So.
Thank you very much. I agree with Councillor Pachariva's suggestion and with Councillor Regima. Thank you for your thought on that. I think adding it makes sense. It opens everything up. There's nothing left out. And I would be agreeable to that. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, can I just ask a point of clarification, please?
Yes, go
To
ahead.
the mover. So Councillor Regima, hearing the comments on the table, are you amenable to have kept for a future mixed-use development and a wide variety of housing types? Would that be something that you would support? You need your mic. I got you.
So my intent with this is really so I'm going to, Councillor Miklick's comment earlier on that he's not sure what we're approving here. That's my intent, is to take out really like zoning specific language, so that the whole intent of the motion is that we want some sort of nonprofit or co-op or housing. That seems to be the intent of the motion. So I had another suggestion, and that's for the last paragraph, which Councillor Miklick was talking about. It says nonprofit only. And I know that if you're talking about regional housing, there's nonprofit and there's co-op. So I think we are handcuffing ourselves by calling it nonprofit at the end. So I do have a suggested revision to that last paragraph that keeps us focused on affordable housing, whatever that be. I just suggested taking out mixed use because it's a very specific zoning term. And I'm not sure it's necessary in there because there's all kinds of zoning terms that we could put in there. But the intent is that we have some sort of affordable housing, I think, and work with it with partners on it. I think that's the intent of your motion, so.
What is the change that you want to make in the last paragraph?
So I'm suggesting that the last one say,
Right, but we're not there yet.
no, you're right.
Marie has already
Yeah.
seconded this one. So, Madam Mayor, can I just
Yeah,
chime
go
in?
ahead, yeah.
So I've got Director Deanne on, his camera's on. So to your other comment, Councillor Regina, about the non-for-profit, keep in mind that we still have to do engagement. We're not done. Tonight was a very, we were asking commitment of council to recognize that this site is going to have some sort of affordable housing on it. And I think you can all agree that it was a very introductory motion to just say that, yes, we have the BDSS site, and yes, we are, as a council, committed to having a portion, whatever that may look like. However, we're still not done any kinds of engagement. There is no commitment yet made to any group, any organization, in any fashion whatsoever. This is a very, I would say, for lack of a better term, so forgive me, a generic motion to say that council in the town of Lincoln is really supporting what this would look like in terms of what the Housing Committee has put forward as suggestions. So, Director Deanne, if you had any other comments to that before we get any further into this?
Thank you, Madam Clerk, and Madam Mayor, through you to the council. I mean, I agree with the clerk's comments in regards to the motion this evening. Definitely an introduction, a general type motion, but a couple comments in regards to the type of affordable housing. I know that was brought up a little bit earlier. I don't think the motion commits us to the type of affordable housing that we're going to be looking at the site. I think it talks about all the options and bringing that back to council. In addition, in terms of the amendment to the motion in regards to the type of housing on there, I think the way it was written, Councillor Petrie, would include mixed use development as well. So I think you're safe to include that addition that was brought up that I saw on the screen earlier. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Is that satisfactory to you, Councillor Regina?
Not completely, because I think we are committing, if the way it's worded, we are committing to nonprofit housing, and there's other things that we could be committing, but that there's other ways that we could word it so that it's open, and that I think that the intent of the movers would be met. And the wording that I am suggesting is that it say, therefore be it resolved that the town of Lincoln will commit to making a portion of the BDSS site available for an affordable housing project with the specific model, location, type, and size to be determined through an ongoing analysis, stakeholder engagement, and alignment with the broader vision for the site's redevelopment.
You sent that to the clerk.
I did, yeah. Because I think if you say nonprofit, you're saying nonprofit, where there's also co-op housing, and there's all kinds of things,
We'll
but,
have that up in a minute. Thank you.
yeah.
But we're going to vote on this particular amendment first, and I'm going to put it on the screen again. Councillor Miklick and Councillor Reimer, do you have comments to the current amendment? Okay.
Thank you very much. Just, do we have a planning professional here to discuss this? Okay, so I'm feeling a little uncomfortable at this point. Well, we're removing sections. We're creating planning where we don't have a planner to ask these questions of, and I'm not sure if this is the appropriate time to be throwing amendments here, I just don't know if I feel comfortable removing the mixed use portion, adding this and subtracting that, and that's how I'm feeling right now. So I don't know how. Perhaps I'm the only one, but that's a concern I have, that this motion originally started out simple when I read it this afternoon, and now it's all of a sudden, there's a Third Amendment, Fourth Amendment. So I feel uncomfortable not having a director of planning or even a member of planning staff here.
Thank you very much, Counselor. You can't defer it, you've already spoken to it, but that certainly is out there if anybody who hasn't spoken to it wants to entertain it. Counselor Reimer, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Easton. I'm going to ask the clerk to confirm, I think she made some statements earlier, or Director Deanne, that Director Bruder and the RCAO had their fingerprints on this motion? Is that correct?
That
Yeah.
is correct.
And I like the commit. It's time for us to commit to this, and we've got the best fingerprints that staff can have on this motion. I say we accept it as is, and let's get on with it.
So
Thank you very much.
we
And
have an amendment on the floor, Madam
Okay.
Mayor, that I'd like to remind council of.
All
I'd
right,
like to
we're-
take that vote. Councillor Bruni, I saw your mic on.
he
You're fine.
went off. He liked what he liked what he heard. Okay, we're going to be voting on the amendment, which is coming up on the board here. There was a lot of discussion for 5 words. Okay, there's no names on the board. Madam Clerk, would you please open the vote?
It's open. I'm just waiting for you and Councillor Regima to vote on that amendment. Thanks, Madam Mayor. I just need
Yep.
your vote. And again, we are removing for a future mixed-use development and replacing it with a wide range of housing types. No, that's not what Regima, that's not what. So we've just taken a vote. You can change it. I haven't closed it yet. Got it? Okay, perfect. So I'm going to close the vote now. Okay, so that has lost.
Okay. We're moving on then to the original motion. Moving back to the original motion.
So, Madam Mayor, we go back to the original,
Right.
and I will, let me see if I can bring that up. Alexa, can you bring that original motion on the screen? Thank you. And so I just want to highlight, everything has stayed the same. If you take a look at the last paragraph, if you can scroll down, Alexa. Okay? So that's before council right now. We're not open to a vote, but if there's any comments to the original motion.
Counselor, whoops. Counselor Mikulik, did you have your light on?
She was.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. Go ahead, Counselor Mikulik.
Okay, thank you. Just backing up a little bit, I still have a concern about, like, a definition of what this means, this nonprofit affordable housing project. We're committing to making a portion of the site available for a nonprofit affordable housing project. So what does that sort of project look like? And, you know, maybe perhaps like I can get some clarification on that, because like we visited some nonprofit, you know, affordable housing that the region builds, that government builds, that cities, municipalities build. But at the end of the day, I mean, are we are we excluding some for-profit affordable housing entities with that wording? That's what I'm concerned about, and I'm not sure. But again, without our Director of Planning not being here, I can't ask him if we're prohibiting ourselves from other conversations because of the wording, the specific wording. So I want to support this. I just really need to know what exactly we're committing to as far as what a development looks like that could be affordable for who, to what degree. So that,
Go ahead.
Was that a question, though? Did he have a question, or was that just
There's no one that can answer it.
Okay. Again, two comments. So again, I've heard two things tonight. I've heard this is a very, very general, non-committed declaration. And I've also heard that it has to be done, we need a commitment ASAP. I do see that, again, there's definitely validity to this, and I think that there is going to be a secondary motion down the road when we actually do all the stakeholder involvement, and we do decide what piece is going to be specifically moved towards affordable housing or whatever that development might end up being. So again, I do understand that this is going to be very general. So in the beginning, I was on the fence whether or not to support it, because I think there is it seems a little preemptive. But in the generality of it, it just seems like we're kind of virtue signaling here as opposed to actually getting a commitment and going through and waiting when we're actually going to start divvying up the property. With all that being said, I want to amend to put precinct back in BDSS just to make sure that we are encapsulating the right property.
In the fourth and the last paragraph.
In the fourth and the last paragraph.
I'm okay.
Thank you very much, Jacques.
So you're putting an amendment back on the floor? Okay.
What is your comments right now?
Thank you, Mary Easton.
Original.
I don't know, I think everything's been said multiple times. I feel like Councillor Reimer, like, let's just stop over-analyzing this and picking this apart. This is a general motion, it's a general commitment. Many of us have sat on that housing committee. I've been on it for 8 years. This is not a rush, this is not new. We've been talking about this for years, so this is not a surprise to anybody around the table. Nonprofit is an umbrella term, which to me means anything that fits under that. So I think we're hitting we're touching every possibility. So I just want to vote on the motion. And I'm fine with the precinct. And when we do the final motion, I would like a recorded vote. Thank you.
Well, we're going to have a vote on that amendment. Patricia, for the final word, and then we're going to
Okay.
move forward.
Thank you, Worship, and thank you to Councillor Russell for bringing that forward, because I was going to suggest precinct on both of those, giving us some more wide-ranging focus. And to Councillor Mikluck's question, Councillor, it can be anything. It can be a development like Port Cares. It can be it's whatever works for that nonprofit, right? It could be an apartment. It can be towns. So it's open-ended right now, and it's whatever fits into their business plan. So, thank you.
Okay. This is the amended version brought forward, moved by Councillor Russell, seconded by Councillor Timmers to add precinct into these areas, and we're going to open it to a vote.
Okay, so this is the original motion.
Just with the
addition-
amendment.
I'm
Okay.
sorry?
Yes,
Which
it's,
amendment are we talking
we're
about?
talking about adding the precinct in the
Exactly.
fourth paragraph and the
Other than
last
that-
one.
Other than that, it is the original motion.
It is the original motion, and I'm opening it to a vote, Madam Mayor.
Okay.
And the vote is now open. Are you voting?
No, I have comment.
But we're not there yet. We've got this motion right now.
To add precinct?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
Counselor Brunei? Oh, you got it. Okay, thank you. And that amendment carries. And the motion. Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I had sent out suggested wording for the last paragraph that makes me more comfortable with supporting it. I had sent out suggested wording for the last paragraph that makes me more comfortable supporting, because I want to support it. But I think the term needs to be more general, because I think nonprofit, maybe I'm wrong, but I think nonprofit has a more specific meaning. I think if the last paragraph said, an affordable housing project, would that work by the movers to make it a little more general? So my suggested wording is, therefore be it resolved, that the Town of Lincoln Council will commit to making a portion of the BDSS site available for an affordable housing project with the specific model, location, type, and size to be determined through an ongoing analysis. It's affordable housing. Yeah. No, we haven't.
I guess, I'm sorry, we can move on this if there is a seconder for Councillor Regima's amendment. Is there a seconder? Councillor Mikulik will second it. Okay, we'll begin this process again. Please don't give the daggers to the chair. We're now going to go over this again. And this will be another amendment that's going to come up. Keeping in mind that we can have amendments all night long, if that is your wish. Councillor Mikulik. Councillor Timmons, is your comment about the amendment?
It's pretty darn specific, though. If they don't, then we'll just vote.
Okay. This is the amendment.
I just want to clarify that precinct has already been passed and approved. So when you look down, it's for an affordable housing project with specific model and type is what you've added,
Is
and
that
affordable
correct?
housing.
Is that correct, Councillor Regina?
Yes, that's right. And I want to thank the two movers for bringing us forward, because it's very brave of them, and I want to thank you.
Okay, so we're going to put this to a vote if there's no other comments.
Okay, there are comments. Okay, thank you very much, Councillor Regina. If you could turn your mic off,
Yep.
please. Go ahead, Councillor Timmons.
Thank you, Mary Stin. So, I appreciate Councillor Regima's comments. However, I cannot support removing nonprofit. That must be in this motion, because that is what the Housing Select Committee is working towards, is a partnership in a nonprofit housing build. Removing that opens it up to, we've seen developers come here and say, we're going to build affordable housing. That is not what the Housing Select Committee is looking for at all. We are looking at a very specific nonprofit, co-op, subsidized, low-income rentals, like that all falls under nonprofit. Nonprofit is, look at it as a big umbrella, right? It's a term that covers all of those types underneath it. I think adding specific model type, absolutely, that is like putting us in a box. Like, we can't go there. So I cannot support that. We must keep nonprofit in there. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Counselor Brunei, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. I haven't said a word up until now, but based on the roundy rounds that we've experienced over the last 90 minutes, I have to make a comment. So, we all agree, I think everyone in this council agrees, that we want to do something with affordable housing. We've said for the last 7 or 8 years that we need property to make that become a reality. We also have said we have one chance to make this BDS project a success. I've heard the councillors that have brought this motion forward say what they've said. In principle, I agree with what they're saying, but where we are now after all these amendments and not having a planner here tonight, I really believe, this is getting to the point where it's people wanting to slam dunk this, and we've talked about this. This council is committed. Just this conversation that's gone around here tonight, in my opinion, has got to be leaving people sitting at home going, is this council committed to doing something on affordable housing, which is very unfortunate in my opinion. So I really think at this point, based on all the conversations that have occurred, the last thing I want to be doing is to backing ourselves into a corner where we find out when we go down the road, well, the motion, and it's not a general motion. It's not a general motion. This is a motion that we're bringing forward that the two councillors have worked with staff on. So it's not a general motion, and I have a concern that something here could come back to bite us. So I really feel that there is no damage done, that if we could possibly, I want to bring a motion that we defer this until we have a planning staff present to be here to guide us properly on something as important as this BDSS site.
Except, Counselor, you have spoken to the motion and you can't defer it. So I'm going to ask again, as I asked earlier, if someone wants to defer it that has not spoken to the specific motion that's coming up this go-around, then that's what will happen. So I'll give you 2 seconds to make that decision, but it cannot be someone who has spoken to this specific motion. Madam Clerk, is there anyone who has not spoken to this motion?
Well, it's the amendment that's currently on the floor.
Has anybody not spoken to this amendment? Who all wouldn't have spoken? I know who they are, but I want you to...
Councillor Brunei hadn't spoken at all during this entire
Okay.
process, but we still have an active amendment on the floor that we need to put forward based on Councillor Regima's and Councillor Miklick's amendment that they made to the last paragraph. So I'd like to put that first forward. Yeah.
Okay.
Councillor Regima, what's happening?
I'm going to withdraw the amendment because I'm going to take Councillor Timmer's advice as a member of the committee that nonprofit is the intent of the committee. So I'm
Okay.
fine with withdrawing.
So
withdrawing the amendment.
Councillor Miklick, she's withdrawing that. You were a seconder.
Okay, that is your privilege. Okay. So that amendment is withdrawn.
So Councillor Brunei hadn't spoken, Madam Mayor, and he's asking to defer the entire motion.
And your interpretation is that even to the extent that he has discussed it, that is acceptable?
Well, I mean, we had the entire motion, I would say, so here's where it gets a little tricky. So you've all accepted that you've added precinct into the motion. That carried. Then there was another further amendment. And I would say that he has spoken, he has made his thoughts known. However, council has all spoken to this motion, and I don't think we're prepared. I don't think all of council would be prepared to defer it. Now, he would need another seconder to defer it.
That's correct. And I was looking for that, and I did not, no one came. So now we have either Councillor Njima or Councillor Miklick who will defer, who will second to defer.
So there's a motion brought forward by Councillor Brunei, seconded by Councillor Regima, to defer this motion. And so I'm going to ask for an all hands. So Director Deanne, if you could turn your camera off so that we can see all of council, if you don't mind. Thanks. And I'm going to go around the table because I don't know how these cameras are going to work with that. So with the mover and the seconder, I'm going to ask a show of hands for all of council to defer this motion tonight, and I will call upon those that I see. Turn on the chair's mic, okay. Thank you, and I'm going to ask that all of you raise your hands so that it's visible in the camera. So all in favor of deferring? Just a minute.
Madam Clerk, would you make it a recorded vote, please?
Yes, I can, and that is in favor, keep your hands up, Councillor Regima, Councillor Brunei, Councillor Miklick, Councillor Reimer, Councillor Russell, and Councillor Murray. All in favor to defer. All opposed to defer, please, and that is Councillor Timmers, Councillor Pachariva, and Madam Mayor. It carries to defer. Thank you.
Okay, the motion to defer has been upheld. Thank you, councillors. Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. Okay, so we will see this again. Just a moment, I'm just moving on here to, along the agenda. All right, Council, would you like a 5-minute break? No. Not particularly? Okay. All right. Okay, we're moving on to item number 15, which is the mayor's report. And since the last council meeting of April 28th, 2025, or 2005, we, I'm sorry, 2025. I attended the Red Dress Day event at the Region for missing murdered Indigenous women. It was a very large turnout this year, quite extensive, and excellent speakers, and certainly the point is getting across. I think the word is getting out there that this is an important initiative and issue that needs to be supported. On May the 5th, I attended Mayor Ganan's State of the Township address. On May 6th was Committee Day at the Region of Public Health and Public Works. On May the 10th, Minister Cho attended in Jordan Village. It was a Saturday morning, and he was there to discuss the tourism and the pending Niagara plan that's going to be coming and is coming through slowly from the province. On May the 12th, it was the start of Economic Development Week, and as Councillor Miklick has noted, we had the tour of AMSI. On May 13th, there was a learning journey lunch at Balls Falls and at the barn, but it also included a very active agenda beforehand. Councillor Murray was there, Councillor Timmers was also there. They were really celebrating Niagara's culinary leadership. It was hosted by the town of Lincoln and the city of St. Catharines, featuring Fat Rabbit Restaurant as the chefs that day. It was also an interpretive tour. They had a very nice coach that they used and moved around Niagara. The group was from across Canada. I spoke to a number of representatives, probably the most significant note that they made was this blend of urban and rural and natural spaces that most of them were not familiar with. So I want to thank Director Paul Diani and Brittany Bialuski and also the staff from St. Catharines for this day. It was really very impressive. And I think a culmination, I'm sorry, Councillor Petrieva was there as well, culmination of the work that's been done to develop the destination marketing organization. This was very successful. It was very significant in the statement that it made. On May 14th, the CAO and I attended the Niagara Home Builders Association. I'm sorry, that's not correct. That was changed. It was Director Bruder who attended with me. We discussed partnerships in my address, the value of ensuring that existing taxpayers do not subsidize new housing costs. There is this major push all over the province to remove or decrease significantly development charges, and it's just beyond me who is going to be paying for these. On May 15, it was the Niagara Regional Police Service's annual awards ceremony, and they changed the program this year, and apparently it was very, very successful. I had to leave to go to the museum event, but it was changed to include local private heroes as well as the officers. And it's, I spoke briefly to the chief before it began, and they certainly had quite a lineup, I must say. And also, it was not just a group of politicians and police brass that were there. It was families. There were many, many families that were in attendance. Also that day, I attended with Councillor Mikulik, the Lincoln Museum and Cultural Center. They were celebrating Samuel Fry's birthday and also honoring one of the gift shop volunteers whose name I could not find today, and my apologies for that. But I want to thank Olivia and Adam and Courtney for the work that they put into the program, and also the museum gift shop volunteers honoring their colleague with an addition to the endowment fund. But I also want to remind everyone that the program that's the museum display at the moment is all about bees, and it not only covers the more traditional elements of beekeeping, but there's an artistic element to it as well, which is the way the museum is doing the programs, and that gives us a chance to have not only the heritage and historical elements, but also the artistic element as well, which is what we're looking for. On May 22nd, there was a launch of the Bookmobile. I'm sorry I wasn't able to attend that, but Councillor Timmers attended. I don't know, put your hands up if you attended. Councillor Russell, great. It's lovely. It holds 2,000 books, this one, and you can just go in and get your library card updated, which is great. Take a look at the program and where it's going to be. Go to atlincoln.ca and look up the Lincoln Pelham Library, and you'll be able to find the program. It's really quite something, quite exciting. This is the second bus we've had, and it certainly is worthwhile. That day was also Meet the Fleet, or 24th was Meet the Fleet. Sorry, launch of the Region Dental Clinic was also happened this week, so it was in town. Again, check the programming on their website, regionofniagara.ca, because this is very important, because it's there to provide service for adults and for children, to have cleanings done, have referrals made to dentists. This is, again, the second bus. There's now 2 of them that are in service, and this is a very, very important program by public health across the region. Saturday, this past Saturday, was Meet the Fleet, and of course, it was just as popular as ever, and the equipment had so many little children, 3 years and up, climbing all over it. It was quite exciting. Councillor Russell was there, Councillor Timmers was there. While I was there, I don't know whether anybody else turned up. If you did, put up your hand. Councillor Reimer, yes, that's right. As I left, he came in. So there was a good turnout, and the staff did a fabulous job. I want to congratulate Director Graham and his staff for doing, and communications, everyone that was involved. It's such a big team effort. And I believe that the major sponsor was Tim Hortons. They provided coffee for everybody. So we do want to mention that because they are so generous overall to all of our events. I want to make a comment, councillors, about communication that's been coming out by the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, Rob Flack, seeking comments from the general public, from stakeholders, including municipalities, on sections of the Protect Ontario by Building Faster and Smarter Act 2025. It's Bill 17. And it includes things like new homes, infrastructure, transit, roads, water, and wastewater systems, how to get all of those things moving faster. And so I know that our planning staff and others are working on the response because it is very, very aggressive, and there are some elements related to the environment that are not going over well. So I have to say, on all of our behalf, the staff and this council, that regardless of this motion earlier, just keep in mind, members of the public, that this is a complex issue that we're dealing with, the housing. There is no problem here with this council making decisions, and we have a number of years of decision-making and strategic planning that has supported that. And in keeping with that, we have progressively pursued the modernization of design and upgrades and improved connections to both town-owned and regional services, the services that we share. And we're going to be reinforcing our status as regards to the management of the opportunities as they come forward with planning applications, because we have one of the most progressive systems, and it is one of the most timely as well. So the staff are working on a response and to the request for comments, and I know that there are many organizations and members of the public that are also responding on some of the limitations, particularly as they impact the environment. The ward review was, the public meetings were held this week, and I did listen in on the Zoom call, and there were very good questions that were asked. I've made a request that I expect clerk's office will be able to give me the answer to my question. I wanted to know if all of the questions and answers were going to be put on the Speak Up Lincoln. And so we'll get the answer to that. I just asked it today, and there's too many things happening to get that dealt with at this time. I think that's all that I have to say at the moment. These months are very busy. May has been very busy. June is even busier, and I think it's just it's a sign of what's going on and the kind of important decisions that we're being confronted with. So with nothing further to say, thank you very much for the opportunity, members of the public and council to present my report. I have a motion moved by Councillor Reimer and seconded by Councillor Mikulik that council receive and file for information the following mayor's report. Madam Clerk, would you please open the vote?
Thanks, Madam Mayor, and the vote's now open. Councillor Brunei? Thank you. And I'll close that vote, and that carries.
All right, the motion is carried, and we move on now to item 16, which is a motion to consider confidential matters, and we have none. Item 17 is a motion to approve bylaws. We have 3 bylaws for consideration today, and I wanted to note that finance staff advised a housekeeping item being in bylaw 2025-21 authorizes the town of Lincoln to switch its credit card provider from Meridian to the Bank of Montreal. This change is part of a provincial shared services procurement opportunity. Many municipalities already use the Bank of Montreal's purchasing card due to its user-friendly portal, and we expect to improve efficiency and save costs by moving to this paperless system. Councillor Reimer, you requested to lift bylaw 2025-20 to vote on separately. Okay, so we'll deal with that bylaw first. So are there any questions, members of council, to 2025-20, which is a bylaw to regulate and prohibit heavy vehicle traffic on certain highways in the town of Lincoln? Councillor Reimer, what is the purpose of your lift? Go ahead.
Just to be able to vote on that separately from the other bylaws.
Okay, that's great.
That's all.
Thank you very much. And Madam Clerk, would you please open the vote?
Thanks, Madam Mayor, and the vote's now open. Thank you, and I will close that vote. And that carries 8-1. Thank you.
Thank you, and that motion is carried, and we now move on to the remaining 2 bylaws. And do members have any questions on those bylaws? There being none, we're moving on now. I have a motion by Councillor Njima, seconded by Councillor Murray, that leave be given to approve the following bylaws. 2025-19, a bylaw to levy the actual cost of maintenance to the Gavora Municipal Drain on the assessed lands. And that appendix is included in the agenda package. And bylaw 2025-21 is a bylaw to approve the agreement between the Bank of Montreal and the Corporation of the Town of Lincoln. Madam Clerk, would you please open the vote?
Thank you, and the vote's now open. And I will close that vote. That carries.
Okay, the motion is carried. We will now confirm the proceedings of council meeting, and I have a motion moved by Councillor Timmer, seconded by Councillor Brunei, that leave be given to introduce bylaw number 2025-22, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council at its meeting held Monday, May 26, 2025, being read a first, second, and third time, that bylaw number 2025-22 be enacted and passed, that the mayor and clerk sign and seal the said bylaw. Madam Clerk, would you please open the vote?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and the vote's now open. And I will close that. That carries.
Thank you. The motion is carried. We move on to item 19, which is council remarks. And before we adjourn the meeting, do members have any comments? There being none, I have a motion moved by Councillor, I'm sorry. We have Councillor Brunei. Go ahead, Councillor Brunei.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just very quickly, and I think quite often we all see things and want to say something, and then it's out of mind and we don't think about it, and then later on we say, geez, I wish I would have said something. At every council meeting, we talk about in the event of an emergency, and we tell people, go at the nearest exit, and we have a muster point that's identified in the corner with a sign. Often I see that, and I see a lake out there of water. And again, tonight, coming into the meeting, I see a lake of water. I bring it up not to be negative in any way, but to try to be positive, that if there's anything that staff could do to make that water flow. I just think in the state of an emergency, if we ever had a council chamber here filled on a public meeting, and we had a state of emergency, and we were asking people to go out there in the dark, it could be an embarrassing event. So I just bring it up to say, if there's anything that could be done, it's maybe something that we should be looking at. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
It's a fair statement. Thank you very much, Councillor. So that's been noted, Madam Clerk. Even better, Madam Acting CAO. Yes. Considerate direction. Okay, so now we are going to move on to the next item, which is the adjournment. I have a motion moved by Councillor Murray, seconded by Councillor Russell, that the council meeting on May 26, 2025 be adjourned at 24 hours. Madam Clerk, please open the vote.
The vote's open. Councillor Fajima? Thank you. Madam Mayor? Yeah. And that carries. Thank you.
Councillor Mikulek.